But we begin tonight with Barack Obama lashing out publicly against bogus claims of racism leveled against an African-American woman who was associated with him.
We've seen this before. There is dirt and lies that are circulated in email, and they pump them out long enough until finally you, a mainstream reporter, asks me about them. My hope is that people don't play this game. It is a destructive aspect of our politics right now. And simply because something appears in an email, that should lend it no more credence than if you heard it on the corner.
That was Barack Obama on board his campaign plane back in 2008, fiercely rebutting claims that his wife, Michelle Obama, ever used the term whitey. Remember the fake whitey controversy that turned out to be a made-up smear during the presidential campaign in 2008? No truth to it whatsoever, and that's how Barack Obama, the candidate, responded to it. About a week later, another made-up controversy started to gain some traction in the mainstream media. The idea was that Barack Obama was secretly foreign. That Barack Obama was secretly born in Kenya or Indonesia, and he didn't have a legitimate U.S. birth certificate. The birther conspiracy, of course. In order to debunk that one, the Obama campaign went on the offense in a big way. They launched a website called FightTheSmears.com. FightTheSmears.com had a whole page dedicated to debunking the birther conspiracy. The page detailed the actual facts about Mr. Obama's citizenship, complete with his certification of live birth. But the Obama campaign wasn't satisfied with just debunking, with just answering the birther smear or the whitey smear. Their strategy was about more than that. It was about naming and shaming the people behind those smears. FightTheSmears.com had a whole page solely dedicated to exposing the perpetrators of these smears. Basically an interactive map listing various right-wing groups, Republican political operatives, even previous smears that these individuals had been involved in. The strategy was not only to discredit the smear, but also the smearer. Here's how a campaign spokesman summed it up at the time. He said, quote, "The Obama campaign isn't going to let dishonest smears spread across the internet unanswered. It's not enough to just know the truth. We have to be proactive and fight back." That was the strategy back then, and you know what? It worked. The ultimate effect of this aggressive pushback against birtherism, right, was that birtherism became more of a liability for the birthers themselves than for the secretly Kenyan Muslim Indonesian guy they were trying to destroy. The birther thing was a totally dishonest, race-based stunt that had no basis in fact. And because of the proactive fight-back strategy of the Obama campaign, it not only didn't succeed, it backfired. In fact, it's still backfiring. Late last night, a Kansas newspaper that had previously endorsed a Republican congressional candidate named Tracy Mann abruptly took back their endorsement because they learned that Tracy Mann is a birther. The Hutchinson News editorial board wrote last night, quote, "We were wrong and we withdraw that endorsement. Quite simply, the reason is that it turns out Mann is what's known as a birther. That this even continues as an issue is appalling, which is why we didn't think to pose the question to Mann or any of the other candidates." Beyond full-blown birthers being full-on rejected in mainstream politics, anyone even flirting with the birther wingnuttery, any politician who doesn't explicitly reject the birther conspiracy, now gets saddled with the hilarious label birther curious. Republican Senator David Vitter of Louisiana got tagged as birther curious last week after he sidled up to the theory and winked. The resultant mockery and criticism forced the senator to say later explicitly, quote, "I'm not a birther." Birtherism is now being used even by Republicans as a way to attack other Republicans. Check out this John McCain ad against his Republican primary opponent, J.D. Hayworth.
Obama is completely illegitimate for U.S. presidency for two reasons. Not only because he did not provide the place of his birth, but also because both parents have to be U.S. citizens.
Obama knows he is not natural born, as he knows where he was born, and he knows he was adopted in Indonesia.
Questions continue. And until President Obama signs his name And in fact, has the records revealed, the questions will remain.
The only difference between these people? Only one is running for the U.S. Senate.
That's what happens now to birther politicians, or even birther-connected politicians, or even non-birther politicians who sometimes say nice things or even vaguely encouraging things to people who may be birthers. You get linked with birtherism, you get linked with crazy people like Orly Tates. I mean, think about your reaction when I even say the name Orly Tates right now. To be a birther is a huge political liability in the United States of America in 2010 because of the Obama strategy, as they said, to be proactive and fight back. Because of that aggressive strategy against the birthers, that ridiculous smear has so backfired on the people who push it that this is the reaction you get when you try to push it into the mainstream now. Watch this.
Why can't the president respond to the petitioned requests of 400,000 American citizens by releasing a certified copy of his long-form birth certificate listing hospital physician? 400,000.
You're looking for the president's birth certificate?
Yep.
It's on the internet, Lester.
The long form listing his hospital and physician.
Lester, this question in many ways continues to astound me.
What's relevant about that is not just that the press secretary is laughing at the reporter who's asking it, it's that everybody else in the press room is laughing at the reporter asking it. Barack Obama and his campaign team expertly diffused the race-baiting birther smear, the any guy who looks like that can't be a real American smear, and turned it into a joke. Turned it against those perpetrating it. It was textbook political savvy. And then Barack Obama, the candidate, became Barack Obama, the president. And every subsequent race-based, unsubstantiated smear perpetrated by right-wing activists with the help of Fox News has been met instead with submission by the administration. No aggressive pushback, no strategy to discredit those pushing the smears. Did fightthesmears.com become fightthesmears.gov? Yeah, right. Out went Van Jones, out went Acorn, out went Shirley Sherrod. If the Obama administration recognized in these smears the fact that they are the same political attack that they were during the campaign, then the Star Wars bar scene cast of characters who pushed these ridiculous race-baiting smears would have the same reputation that Orly Tates does today. There's all this lamentation right now about why the Obama administration did the wrong thing with the Shirley Sherrod situation. Why do they keep getting bullied like this? Why do they keep letting these people using these ham-handed, totally disprovable, race-baiting smears get what they want, thereby encouraging more of them and hurting themselves in the process? Why do they keep doing this? Why can't they stand up to this type of racial political bullying? Turns out they can. They know how to do it. They have done it in the past. They have these muscles. Atrophied since the campaign, surely, but they are there. Can they still flex them? Joining us now is someone who disagrees with me about this completely, my friend Newsweek senior editor and MSNBC contributor Jonathan Altier. He's also author of the new book, The Promise, President Obama, Year One. Jonathan, thanks very much for joining us.
Hi, Rachel.
So, all right, tell me, I know that you think I'm wrong about this, so tell me what you think I have wrong.
Well, first of all, I think you're right and everybody's right that this was one of the most ham-handed, politically inept moments that I can remember. That the White House and the Agriculture Department forced Sherrod to quit before they asked even elemental questions about this. And the NAACP was even worse. The president of the NAACP, Ben Jealous, was twittering before thinking and actually said he was appalled by her behavior and she needed to go and so forth. So this thing was a fiasco. But having said that, where you and I disagree is on whether it's worth the time of the president and the time of the White House to take 2, 3, 4 news cycles to get into a fight with scorpions, with liars, sleaze artists, smear artists. I don't think it is. I think they can leave that to the Democratic National Committee. But that as a general proposition, during a campaign, you got to be engaged in that kind of hand-to-hand combat when you're president, when you're worried about Iran, Afghanistan, 10% unemployment. to get down into the muck with these clowns is ill-advised.
But to let the scorpions just keep stinging them. I mean, the administration clearly willing to throw no-name people under the bus, people like Van Jones, people like Shirley Sherrod. But what about when it inevitably escalates? What about when it's Valerie Jarrett, when it's Patrick Gaspard, when it's Reggie Love, when it's some member of the Obama family somewhere, if we recognize the pattern that's at work here? At what point do you have to say, oh, we can't keep taking this. This is actually taking chunks out of us?
Well, you know, first of all, I'm not sure there's a pattern. The difference between the Sherrod case and the Van Jones case, for instance, is Sherrod turned out to be completely innocent of this smear. In the Van Jones case, which I think is the relevant history here, this was a mid-level White House aide in charge of, or involved in, not even in charge of, you know, certain energy policies, weatherization and the like, who it turned out that he had signed a petition which basically said that 9/11, you know, might be